those who celebrate it, happy Christmas! I hope you've had a great day of opening up presents and filling yourself up with turkey. But when you're ready to burn off those calories with a long Boxing Day walk, what wildlife could you be on the lookout for? Subscribe to Ferroforest to keep learning about UK nature. Throw on your thermals, do up your waterproof boots, and don't forget your gloves. Stepping out of your front door, the first thing that you're likely to notice is that there's still birdsong about. Maybe it's not as strong as it was in the summer because many of our migratory species have headed south for the winter, but there are still plenty of birds around. In fact, you may be surprised by the huge variety of birds that stick around. As you pass by your neighbours' gardens, you may spot groups of garden birds filling up on seed that has generously been put outside. Our tit species, like blue tits, great tits, coal tits and long-tailed tits, will form large mixed flocks and head out together in search of food. But they aren't the only ones. Look out for bullfinches making their way out of woodlands to search for food in gardens in pairs or small groups. Make sure as you're walking you don't only look out for animals. See if you can spot some of our garden plants like ivy wrapped around garden trees. Make sure to take a close look at the ivy as it's a favourite choice of wintering site for brimstone butterflies. As one of only 5 of our native butterflies that spend winter in their adult forms, you might spot it tucked away among the ivy. You're unlikely to see it flying though. Brimstones, red admirals, combers, small tortoiseshells and peacock butterflies all spend winter in a dormant state, waiting for the weather to get warm enough again. Don't stand blocking the ivy for too long though. Blackcaps were once only visitors in the UK in the summer, but the warmer days are causing an increasing number of them to overwinter here. They will be looking to pick off the ripe ivy berries, grateful for one of the few winter fruiting plants to help see them through the coldest season. But that distinctive song you first heard is still sounding. What is it? Why, it's a robin, of course. These little birds with their bright red plumage are a symbol of the festive season in the UK, featuring on many Christmas cards and decorations. The males sing clearly throughout the winter, defending their territory patches in preparation for breeding. As you round a corner to follow a hedgerow, you might initially think it's empty and quiet. Frequent summer visitors to hedgerows are hedgehogs, dormice and bats. But as Britain's only true hibernating mammals, all of these species are now safely tucked away for winter. But there's still others that you can spot. Although most female spiders have now died, you might be able to spot their egg sacs tucked away safely in crevices, such as under fallen logs deep within hedgerows. Invertebrates have different strategies to survive the winter. Some, like the spider, live on in the hopes of future generations hatching from their eggs stored safely through the winter. Others, like slugs and snails, rely on special chemicals to prevent them from freezing while they stay tucked away in slightly warmer leaf litter. But hiding away isn't always a safe bet. Dunnocks spend most of their day during the winter searching the ground for any surviving invertebrates, often travelling huge distances to try and find enough food to survive the cold weather. Nature has a way of clinging on through even the harshest weather though. Holly is another plant you might spot when walking past hedgerows. Look out for its bright red berry clusters framed by green leaves. Although these berries are poisonous to people, they're a vital food source for many birds over winter. In fact, berry bushes like holly and mistletoe are such a valuable resource that some species, like mistle thrushes, will spend the winter viciously guarding berry bushes to ensure they have a constant food supply. As you get further away from your neighbourhood and enter the woodlands, there's even more species you might be able to spot on your winter walk. You may not think to look for fungi, but you'd be surprised by what you can spot in the winter. Look around rotting deadwood and you may find some Excidiopsis effuse. On a humid day when the temperature dips just below freezing, the rare visual phenomenon known as hair ice will appear. Alternatively, you can look up at the branches above you. Glue crust fungus will spread through hazel tree canopies by gluing their branches together. It makes use of these arrangements to catch falling dead branches, giving it a food source to survive on. While walking among the trees, you might spot rowan, which has bright orangey red berries at this time of year. Fruit-bearing trees like rowan and hawthorn support a range of bird species that have travelled to Britain from much colder breeding grounds further north. Fieldfares and redwings can be often spotted together in mixed flocks during winter, swirling around the skies in search of berries. You may spot other mixed flocks on your walk. Bramblings have migrated here from their own northern breeding grounds and may be seen with our chaffinches searching forest floors for seeds to eat. Like many of our resident birds, chaffinches will switch from insects to plant-based diets to survive the food shortages over winter. One group that you won't spot among the forest floor is our 6 native reptile species. By now the weather is far too cold for them, and they've retreated to warmer spots underground, like underground burrows and compost heaps, to be able to spend the winter in a more dormant state. Although most invertebrates are also tucked away, you may be lucky enough to spot the winter moth, one of our few moth species that is able to cope with low temperatures and spends winter in their adult forms. Females can't fly, so you may see them crawling up the forest trees where they'll be giving off pheromones to attract males to join them. While you look for moths, you may also catch a glimpse of the source of a unique woodland noise. The great spotted woodpecker will be drumming against trees, establishing a breeding territory. If you're in the right places in the UK, particularly areas of Scotland and Ireland, you may spot red squirrels darting past the woodpeckers. Squirrels are able to keep themselves active during winter thanks to how prepared they are, stashing away fruit and nuts in the autumn in preparation for the scarcity of winter. If you're in Scotland, perhaps your walk has taken you up into the Highlands where you could spot ptarmigans. Ptarmigan are possibly the hardiest bird in the UK and the only one that turns white in the winter. This bird will stay put through even the harshest weather, relying on its dense plumage and feathered feet to reduce heat loss. Ptarmigans will fly into snowdrifts to dig burrows, kicking out their feet to block up the entrance, and then roost in these snow bunkers until the worst of the weather has passed, and they can go back outside looking for plant shoots to eat. Like ptarmigans, mountain hares and stoats also turn a bright white over winter to blend in with the snow. Interestingly, stoats gradually turn less white the further south you go, with stoats in Ireland and southern England staying brown throughout the winter. As you exit the forest, you may pass by a large lake or a long stretch of river. Although you won't spot amphibians because they're tucked away at this time of year, there's still plenty of birds, mammals, and of course fish to spot within the water. Look down in the river for shoals of perch or chub swimming around. If you're going past a lake or a slow-moving river, you may even spot the predatory pike, a fish that grows over a metre in length. Closer to coastal areas, you may spot our winter visiting waders, like purple sandpipers. Meanwhile, near reedbed habitats, you may be lucky enough to spot the rare bittern. There were once only 11 males left in the UK, but conservation efforts have helped them recover. Despite this recovery, they are masters of camouflage, so you may end up looking right at one and not even realise it's there. Slightly more obvious when out and about is the otter. Thanks to their dense, waterproof coats, otters are able to not only stay active in the winter, but also breed year-round. You might get a festive surprise by spotting an otter with cubs on your winter walk. Don't forget to look up as you walk past the wetlands and coastal marshes. At this time of year, the day-hunting short-eared owl has flown down from its summer upland hunting grounds in search of a more reliable source of its rodent prey. If you go walking in wetland areas, this is a great chance to spot this gorgeous bird of prey. Coming to the end of the waterway, we need to take public footpaths across farmlands to get home, but there's still plenty of wildlife to be spotted. Deep among the leaf litter that's lining the paths, you may come across colonies of ladybirds, which spend winter in a dormant state in warmer spots. Make sure to cover them back up if you do expose them, so that they can survive until spring. One animal that won't need covering up is the snowflea, which is one of the few invertebrates that stay active throughout the winter. You aren't too likely to see one unless you go digging underneath moss and looking for them living within the sandy soil beneath. As you walk back towards home, you may even hear signs of another bird of prey. The recognisable hoo-hoo-hoo-hoo call of the tawny owl is a clear sign that dusk is approaching and it's time to get back home. As you cross back into your neighbourhood, you suddenly see a large shape darting across the road in front of you. It's the fox, a common sight in both urban and rural settings. Winter is all about mating for the foxes, so it won't be long before you hear their screeches through the night. Males yell to defend their territories, and females call out for the male's attention. Looking up in the trees, you can see daytime birds returning to roost as the nighttime animals appear. A range of corvids like jackdaws, rooks and crows will gather in large roosts to exchange information about feeding sites. Meanwhile, even higher in the sky, you may be fortunate enough to spot starlings. Starlings are found in Britain throughout the year, but in the winter their bodies get covered in white speckles. At this time of year, they gather in communal roosts and dance a series of acrobatics in the sky. This is known as a murmuration and can contain up to 100,000 birds. With that excitement to finish off your walk, it's time to head back inside, grab a hot drink, and think about the amazing wildlife you've seen. Let me know in the comments which species you spotted. If you love learning about UK nature, make sure to check out some of my other videos.